Welcome back, everybody. We're going to get started so that, like I said, we can get to that networking session and those drinks on time. That's the goal. So I really appreciate everyone for being here today. It's been lovely to have conversations about this work with all of you. I know we all have questions, and sometimes just seeing that you have a community around to ask questions with is really valuable. So thank you. So we're going to talk today about how UT Austin is meeting the need for responsible AI in education. I will let the panelists introduce themselves. I wanted to say, though, as we got started, that I'm going to do back-channel questions for this session, just because we have 3 presentations, and I'm guessing you might have questions as those go on, so I'll give everybody a minute. I'm going to vamp a little bit, so if you want to ask a question, you can go ahead and get that QR code and get started with questions. While we're letting everybody take a picture of that, I just wanted to do introductions really quickly. My name is Casey Ford. I'm an instructional designer. I work at the Office of Academic Technology. I have the pleasure to work with a bunch of amazing people there, and my focus is on how we adopt responsible AI for teaching and learning here at UT Austin. And I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to Julie to introduce her.
Hi everyone, I'm Julie Schell. I'm the Assistant Vice Provost of Academic Technology, the Director of our Office of Academic Technology. I'm also an Assistant Professor of Practice in the Department of Design in our program in Higher Education Leadership here on campus. And I get the privilege of getting to work with Casey every day. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Kristen Patterson. I'm Assistant Dean for STEM Education Excellence in the College of Natural Sciences and Associate Professor of Instruction in Biology. And I'm going to give just a little bit longer introduction of the office because many people probably don't know what we do. So the Office of STEM Education Excellence, we call ourselves STEMX because no one can say that full thing, okay? And so STEMX really functions as a change agent in the college, and we are aiming to improve STEM undergraduate education. And we do that through work with instructors. And individual instructors, if we're talking about pedagogical changes, and maybe full departments or even the college level if we're talking about more organizational changes. So we try, promote creativity in making change in instructional practices, curriculum, and whatnot in order to sort of build community around these change efforts and to encourage decision-making based on evidence.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mario Guerra. I am the director of our Enterprise Learning Technology team within the Enterprise Technology unit here on campus. We are the central IT providers of campus. We manage and are responsible for the learning management system Canvas, as well as our finance system, administrative systems. We've got several teams within Enterprise Technology that run those. And more recently, we are initiating the UT.ai initiative. So I'm excited to announce that and give you guys more information on it here in a second.
Thanks, y'all. So I'm curious, you each sit in a slightly different place on campus. I don't mean just physically. I mean, you talk to different people, you deal with different stakeholders every day. Mario, you deal basically with everyone on campus. Kristen, you have a very specific group of people you're serving. I'm curious to know, have you seen the need for responsible AI coming up in your work? How does that look to you, and how has that affected how your role has gone over the past few years? And I'll start with you, Kristen.
Okay, so I would say that the way information comes to us is usually through conversations with individuals, and starting about 2 years ago, timing is expected, we started hearing sort of contradictory messages. One group of people would express frustration in their teaching, saying things like they're concerned about academic integrity, they are also concerned about being able to do their job. in terms of being able, considering part of their job being to assess student learning. So their concerns is one thing, and then on the other hand, we hear messages of excitement and people really wanting to be able to leverage the possibilities through AI technologies, and feeling like we needed to do a better job of sort of improving the students' literacy with AI, but also faculty and other instructors' literacy with AI.
What about you, Mario?
So I guess about 2 years ago, my world turned upside down. We were playing catch up, right? We don't and haven't really released an AI platform for everyone on campus, right? We've got a few like Copilot available, but we didn't have a platform. So a lot of the conversations we were having about with folks all across campus were just what's possible, what should you be thinking about? Do you understand that if you're using commercial products that your data might be used to train models? So it was a lot of the same conversations over and over again, and really helping people understand the use cases and possibilities. But it was, folks are coming out of the woodwork, and they still are really excited, but also concerned. I think that's a great way to put it, Kristen. That's kind of the spectrum that we see, from staff all the way to faculty and students as well.
What about you, Julie?
I've definitely seen a desire line for help making responsible AI decisions, from students to faculty to staff. I know that when I first started teaching with AI, I was very clear with my students about what was appropriate or acceptable use in my class and what wasn't. I had it documented clearly in the syllabus that students were free to use generative AI in my class. However, they needed to cite that use. And in our first assignment, we talked about that. It was in the syllabus. We had a conversation about it. And then in the first assignment, I have students design user personas for my class. It's a design class. And I got an assignment with a really well done image of a user. And I gave the student feedback that I thought they had done a good job. I could get the feel of that particular user. And the student was like, oh, I used AI for that, which kind of it shocked me that there was no citation, because I had it written. We had had a conversation about it. And I realized in that moment that students know how to use AI pretty effectively, but even through a syllabus documentation and oral conversation with me, there still needed to be a process around learning how to adopt and use these tools responsibly. And from there, I think that we just see this tension between excitement and lack of awareness on what responsible adoption looks like. And what we're about in the Office of Academic Technology is making sure that we are creating an environment where students, faculty, and staff, where everyone can access and use AI in a way that has the highest caliber level of protection for their safety, for their intellectual property, for their accessibility rights. And so I think definitely seeing those lines.
So with that in mind, there's a lot going on campus. I mean, I just was thinking about the panel. We just looked at 3 individual instructors doing completely different things, completely different approaches. There's just so much going on. It's really hard for everyone to keep up. So what I would love to do today is showcase a little bit of the work each of you are doing in this space, so that we can kind of create some awareness. And I'm coming off the cuff, like you guys didn't prepare slides for this. So I'm going to hand this to you, Mario, and you're going to get started. Go for it.
Cool. All right. So UT.AI initiative is what we've been working on over the past several months. One of our enterprise technology goals is to deploy secure, accessible platforms, tools that improve the experience for faculty, students, and staff, that help the university achieve its missions and goals, And that's essentially the goal of the UT.AI initiative, is to do that. So the UT.AI initiative was born after the year of AI last year. It was a vision of our new CIO, Cole Camplice, and it essentially has 3 pillars here. We've got the AI Studio, we've got our Digital Longhorns initiative that I'm really excited to talk about here later, and we've got our AI community. And we know that community is going to be a really important aspect of AI literacy and just AI in general. What are we doing? How are we sharing what we're doing? How are we learning from each other? So that community piece is a super important part of the initiative. So we've got here the Digital Longhorns initiatives that focus right now on Copilot and improving processes. There are a lot of processes at the university still handled by paper. We think we can improve some of those processes. And we're going to create an initiative. We're going to create a vision, a concept called Digital Longhorns, and we're going to talk about it because we think that culture is going to be a huge piece of adoption. We're going to have to change culture around here. We've got the studio, which is going to be right now working on deploying our AI platform. So separate from Copilot, we've got an AI platform that we're deploying to campus. It's going to be single sign-on. It's going to be available for all faculty, staff, and students. It's going to be available for using multiple LLMs, just like ChatGPT, but it's not. It's a chatbot, right? It will allow you to create your own GPTs, but it's got the guardrails, it's got the security, it's got the data protections in place so that you can use it with student data, you can use it with university data, and know that all of that is protected. And then we've got the community, which I talked about earlier. In between those 3 pillars are going to be AI governance. How are we making decisions? What policies are we implementing? What's the acceptable use policy of the platforms that we're deploying? And AI literacy. I can't tell you, I can't count on 2 hands how many times we've mentioned AI literacy today. Those of you who have been here today know what I'm talking about. That's going to be a really important component. That's like almost essentially like an owner's manual. If we're going to be deploying these tools, we have to teach people, 1, how to use them, and 2, how to use them responsibly. So this is the UT.AI initiative in a nutshell. Here are the 3 tools that we're going to be focused on for the next 6 to 12 months, right? We've got Copilot there in the middle, which we feel is going to help with university operations. Because if you're a licensed user of Copilot, it has access to all of your Microsoft data, all of your Outlook data, your calendar, your OneDrive, your SharePoint. We're hoping that the university starts to adopt that ecosystem so that Copilot becomes useful, impactful, worth the cost of the license. On the left there, your left, sorry. The platform, horrible screenshot, my apologies for that. But that is the platform that we're going to be deploying to campus, which is a general use chatbot that will be available for folks to create their own GPTs if necessary. And then over to the right is Sage. This is a tight partnership with the Office of Academic Technology, Enterprise Technology, and Amazon Web Services. That one we're super excited about. It is an open beta. I believe Casey's going to be doing a demo out there, hopefully with some drinks. And she'll be talking a lot about Sage. So this is the strategy. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this slide, but what I do want to point out is that second bullet. What are we going to be focused on? 1, research. We want to support researchers' use of AI. 2, we want to support teaching and learning. 2 huge missions of the university. And 3, what I haven't heard a lot about today is operations of the university. We are a workplace. We should be using AI to operate. Where should we be using AI to operate the university, right? Where does it make sense? And that's part of that responsible use of AI. We should be trying to use AI to improve operations, to be more productive. Where does it work and where doesn't it work, right? And then let's talk about it. That's the community piece of it. Well, part of the platform that we are deploying, we're interested in helping. We want you to help us name the platform. We have a form here. a Microsoft form. Use that QR code. Help us name the platform. We're really interested. I think we had over 200 entries. We're super interested in having folks help us name the platform. Faculty, staff, and students. We put this up on Canvas. We got a lot of suggestions from students as well. The Digital Longhorns Initiative, really the goal is to help folks be more productive, effective, and empowered in their everyday work. Are you a staff member? Are you a faculty member? Are you a researcher? We think if you are, and you are willing to adopt these type of technologies to become more effective, we think you're a digital longhorn. And we want to start talking about being a digital longhorn. Digital longhorn in a nutshell, right? We think all of these are part of being a digital longhorn. And we think we can improve the experience for all audiences here at the university. And we can make our operations planning, compliance, and decision-making more efficient with the technology that we're deploying to campus. And here's the website that we're going to be providing updates on our efforts. If you're interested, please use the QR code. This was out there at the kiosk, but we are talking about this. We're creating communities in Microsoft Teams. We have an AI conversations community where we've got a ton of folks talking about use cases, asking questions, learning from each other. Get involved in the conversation. Let's learn from each other. And that's where you can find all of the information there. Thank you.
Thanks, Mario. As I mentioned, we have a ton of time for questions, but we're going to take them either in that QR code I shared earlier, or we're going to we'll give you a chance to come up to the mic later. We're going to roll through these so that we can all have a conversation together. So Kristen's up next.
I have to have my notes because I have quotations that I have to read in a little bit. So I'm here to basically tell you a brief story. I was asked to share a story about how a college is responding to the call to promote responsible AI in education. So the story I'm going to tell you about is about a small grant initiative that the College of Natural Sciences implemented. And I want to emphasize what we gained from that initiative that wouldn't have happened anyway. So you might say, why should we have a grant initiative? Everyone's going to do it anyway. So I want to emphasize what we gained that wouldn't have been gained anyway. And I guess I can advance here. So I want to touch on the answers to 4 questions. One of them is, what was the rationale for doing the initiative in the first place? A little bit about how the grants worked. What was accomplished, as I said, that wouldn't have otherwise been accomplished? And what were the sort of themes, the overarching themes that emerged from this exploration? And so I'll start with the rationale. So I already told you that we had heard these opposing views about AI from our faculty, either excitement or concern. And so given the mission of our office, we really wanted to lean in on sort of supporting this creative exploration and get people thinking about how to leverage the advantages of AI rather than leaning in on the I'm worried about students cheating thing. Okay, so we went the other direction and said, let's see how we can support our instructors in leveraging AI in their teaching and see what comes from that. So that's why we initiated the small grant program. So as with any initiative or grant program, you need to start out with some money. Okay, so I do want to thank the 3 groups that supported this initiative, and that's the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, the President's Initiative, the Year of AI, and the College of Natural Sciences. Okay, so we did get some money from groups to support the grant initiative. We put out 2 calls for applications, and out of those applications chose 17 faculty to receive awards, and they were working on 16 different projects. The projects were implemented in the spring of 2024 and the fall of 2024. So what we did in our office was we provided a structure for their work. Okay, so the structure included alignment with the university policies. It included a requirement that the award winners assessed their project and documented their work and also disseminated their work. Okay, so it wasn't just, I'm going to do this thing. Like, we had requirements for getting the award. So, for example, one feature of the projects was that they all had to have what I think Julie coined as a transformative element. So they couldn't just use a particular AI for something and leave it at that. They had to do something like use 2 different AI technologies to do the same task and compare them. Or you have students create work and then do something with it with AI and have the students evaluate their own work compared to the output of the AI. Okay, so that's what we would call a transformative use of AI. So all of these projects were transformative uses. Okay, so then you think, one thing we found out was that many of our instructors who had submitted applications and received awards said that they would do this work anyway. Okay, so then we're like, okay, so why? Why should we do it? Why should we have the grant? Okay, and so I'm going to tell you 2 reasons why I think we should do things like this. Okay, and so one of the reasons is that they said they would do the work, but they wouldn't have done the assessment. They wouldn't have written it up. They wouldn't have disseminated the work. Okay, so that whole sharing part and the sort of intellectual thinking about it and evaluative work would not have been done. Okay. The second thing is that they would have done their work in isolation, and they wouldn't have been able to learn from each other. They wouldn't have gained the agency that they gained by seeing that some of their colleagues were experiencing the same kind of challenges that they were and whatnot. So this building of the community, I think, was really beneficial. And those 2 reasons, I think, in my opinion, justify doing the sort of more organized exploration of the use of AI. So, to summarize, so here's our group. Okay, I did make this using ChatGPT. Okay. I tried to make it using Copilot, and it made a picture, but it wasn't what I wanted, and then it wouldn't let me make another one. It said I had to wait till the next day, and I didn't have enough time. So, it only let me do it one time. So I went to ChatGPT instead. One thing you might notice, so our group had 17 faculty from 9 different departments. I tried to get the picture to have 9 different colors, but there's only 7. I also tried to get it to make 21 people because there were 17 faculty and 4 students involved in these projects, and I think there's 25 there. Okay, so the numbers, as someone said before, did not work out. Okay, but in any case, we have these people who are engaged in these projects. They would have engaged in this work without the program, they say, but the program brought them all together and resulted in some interesting follow-on things that I want to share with you. So one thing is they were required to disseminate their work. They knew they were going to have to present their work when they applied. And so they all gave a short presentation at a university event, AI Live, that happened in November. Okay, that's when they presented all together, that's when we started realizing, oh, this is a really good thing, because we could hear all together them give their presentations and say, and realize they were mentioning some common things, that we could pull out themes. Okay, so then we went ahead and as part of this proposal, they knew that they would have to write up their work in a common format. So we were able to assemble all of their work into a book and publish it as an open education resource. And so that image is also generated by AI, and our AI prompt guru, Thushani, is right there. Okay, so so again, this book is openly published and has the ideas that are 16 of our faculty projects highlighted about how to incorporate AI into education, and they span like student assignments to work efficiencies as instructors to experiential learning opportunities to things related to things happening in labs. And then finally, I'm really glad to hear about the AI in Education journal that was mentioned just a minute ago, because we are our STEMX folks and our faculty are collaborating with each other to produce a academic article, and so we're sort of looking for a place to publish that. And so bringing this group of people, instead of having them do this work in isolation, bringing them together in a community has allowed us to share the work, both here at UT, in a book, and in the future in an academic article. And I think, without the use of these grants, we wouldn't really have been able to do those things. Also, without the support of the people from STEMX who worked with the faculty, who are, I'll just mention their names. Two people who were pivotal in this work was KP Procco, who's also right here, and Eric Smith, who I think is not here. So there were a few emergent themes that came out of this work, and I want to mention what they were and then give a quotation from our faculty awardees. So the first emergent theme was that having a way to use AI in a structured way improves or deepens thinking about the use of AI. Okay, and so, for example, one of our awardees said, being able to do the survey for student feedback, I wouldn't have done that otherwise, so that was exciting to hear student perspectives. Okay. So they were sort of forced to dive deeper into what the experience was, right? Not only their experience, but the students' experience with using AI. Okay. A second emerging theme is that you really need the right tool for the job. Okay. So among our grant awardees, they tested out over 20 different AI technologies, and a quotation is that. Okay, so for most stuff, I use the enterprise edition of ChatGPT. Now I use Otter AI for making transcripts of files and summarizing, and I use Claude for brainstorming. I'm trying to think about what sorts of tools might be most helpful for certain applications. Okay, so, and we hear this a lot from our awardees, that once they got over the hump and started with one kind of AI tool, they're now searching. Whenever they think, oh, I need some help with this, they're thinking about what kind of AI tool could be helpful for them. Okay, so the third theme then is that the project sort of opened up the creativity floodgates. Okay, so a quote is, having this grant allowed me to delve into this area that I was actually a little nervous about, because I knew nothing about AI and how to use it. The grant allowed me to sit back and think, well, what am I struggling with and could it help? Okay. Now I'm using it all the time. It's really kind of opened up my world in terms of how to be more efficient, how to be more thoughtful about work I'm doing in the classroom. Okay. In addition to that, many of our faculty, not a quote, but highlighted the sort of a future in which they see themselves handing off mundane tasks to AI so that they can focus more on the more thoughtful kind of tasks. Interestingly, about 30% of our students did not want to use AI, when this project was done in 2024. Okay. On the positive side, some students did say things like, this course and assignment demonstrated how AI should be used in addition to creating my own work and not as a substitute. Okay. So the students really understood through working with these AI technologies that they were a partner with AI. They evaluated the benefits and drawbacks and sort of became more sophisticated with using AI. Nevertheless, a whole bunch of them did not want to have any part of it. Okay, and so we ultimately, with the grant mechanism, did require the faculty to offer an alternative, so that students didn't have to use it if they didn't want to. I want to leave you all with this idea that we've only really scratched the surface in terms of opportunities for leveraging AI in education. All of the proposals that were submitted to our grant application proposal opportunity were different from each other, and I've read other proposal ideas here, presented here and in other publications and whatnot that are still all different. There's new ideas coming up all the time, and so I think there's plenty of room to engage more of our creative and innovative instructors in finding ideas, testing them out, figuring out all many different ways that we could leverage AI in education. And I'll leave it there.
Okay, so thanks everybody. It's been a really exciting day. I'm gonna cap us off just talking a little bit about what responsible AI is, responsible adoption of AI tools here in education here at UT, what we think that means, and talk through some of the principles. But before I do that, I'd love everybody to just take a minute and turn to your neighbor and just say quickly what you think responsible adoption of AI for education is. All right. Let's come back together. Let's come back together. All right, Karen, what do you think? What are some of the words that came up in your conversation about responsible adoption of AI for education? You know I'm going to cold call you, Karen. Couple words that just came up, James, with you and James.
Helping students, helping them, it's not going to write their report, but it'll help fine-tune clarity.
So augmenting versus replacing. Does that hit it, James? Yeah, okay. All right, what about y'all? Just a couple words, doesn't have to be the whole thing.
We thought it's more of like an emerging term, and it's not a black and white thing.
Okay, great. So there's some gray area. It's emergent. It's always dynamic. Raul, what about you guys? Transparency, okay. What else came up? Self-directed, so that agency piece of it, right? Purpose, intention, transparency of presence, yeah. Okay, what else? Anything that? Context. Transparency of sources, okay. So that integrity piece, okay. Anything else that we didn't hit? Preemptive and reactive, okay, great. Accountability? Okay. So we do have a sense, right? We do have a sense of what it means, right? And we know that on campus that just having that North Star that we talked about earlier of that AI forward, AI responsible, that it needs to have a little bit more. It needs to have a little bit more meat on the bones for that. And so our goal over the past 6 months has been to come up with a working definition of responsible adoption of AI tools for teaching and learning, and to develop a framework of a set of principles that will help us wade through and make decisions in that sea of ambiguity. Because as you said, it is black and white. It is not black and white, sorry. It is not black and white, right? The black and white decisions are easy. It's all of these other decisions that aren't. So our goal is to support our whole community in thinking about and advancing and deepening that understanding of responsible adoption. So we put together a working group of representatives from across campus, and in that working group, we started off with a starter definition that was kind of like what Karen was starting off with, which is that responsible adoption of AI for teaching and learning means using AI in ways that foster the achievement of learning outcomes and not using it in ways that negate or inhibit the achievement of those learning outcomes. One of the things that I've noticed as a teacher and as someone who works really closely on AI is it's no longer if AI or AI, use AI here but not here, use AI for this assignment but not for this assignment. It's actually use AI in this part of the assignment but not in this part of the assignment. So it's like differentiated and hybrid within single assignments now. So we started off with this starter definition in our working group, and then we interviewed campus experts who are researchers and experts in AI and got feedback on that starter definition. We synthesized themes all together as a group. We iterated on the definition, and today we are releasing this for the first time with all of you for open comment period and for the community to have open comment. We'll have the open comment period open for about 3 months. We'll reiterate on the definition and the framework as we go forward, but today is the first time anyone in the community is seeing any of the work that we've done. So I'm gonna just put up the definition and the expanded definition here, and I'd like you to take a moment and read it, and just quickly share with your neighbor who you were talking to one thing you like about the definition and one thing you wonder about the definition, and I'll let you go ahead and do that now. So again, the prompt, ba-dum-bum, is to turn to one another and just say one thing you like and maybe one thing you wonder or you don't like about the definition. All right. I know we could keep talking. I know that we could totally keep talking about this, but it's only, it's between me and the food, so to close this up here. But what are a couple things that y'all like in our community here about this definition? Learning outcomes, that's the focus. Okay, what else? Stacy?
I really appreciated the part about strengthening relationships.
Right, keeping that human in the loop, and that's a theme that's come up, right? That's a theme that's come up. What else did I hear? Fosters human development, right? So you can see that where we're moving it as a university is in the direction of that human relationship, that human development, and not replacing or negating that. Anything else that folks like, want to shout out? Understand how they work. That was a really big theme, especially in the panel with industry, right? As well as the student who was talking about really understanding the back end. And when you want, I loved that thing that she said, when you understand the back end, then you can make better decisions about your use. I really appreciated that. Thank you for saying that. What about anything about what we wonder, what might be missing, or anything about what we don't like? Wonderful, I love that. Some extension to how we are impacting our community here at UT and beyond. So having some integration into there and acknowledging that, you'd like to see more of that. Love that. By the way, this link here has a link to the page with all of the definition in the framework as well as the open comment period. So I really encourage folks to submit your open comments. What else? Anything, Pat, I wonder? Okay. Got it. Okay, so you'd like to have some of that, that there's a do and a don't, kind of. Okay, great. Dustin. Right. It's not just a one vet because it's changing so rapidly, right? Last year we could say, you know, if we're going to be using a piece of academic technology that had AI, we needed to have that in a contract, right? We need to have that part of the contract. But now every single tool almost that we use has AI integrated into it, right? So there needs to be that ongoing evaluation. Kristen.
That's an extension to that is like on that last paragraph. I'm wondering about that, if there's a tension between that idea of the technology being vetted, secure, safe, et cetera, and the fast-moving pace.
Yep.
Right, and the desire maybe to be on the cutting edge.
And the experimental aspect of it. How do we be both AI forward and AI responsible? It's a perennial question. And I see more hands, but I want to get us to the principles. So I'm going to ask you one more quick question here. Quickly, I just want to say that we have done, in addition to UT Sage, which Mario talked about, we've done a couple projects that showcase responsible adoption. Our actual first evaluation of a tool was the Grammarly Gen AI evaluation, and we used Grammarly because it was the only LLM we could get access to that would promise that they wouldn't digest our materials in a contract. Okay. We've also done some work on AI detection guidance. If you're not aware of it, we do not support any AI detection software on campus. And if you are going to use AI detection software, your department needs to have a contract with that vendor for a variety of reasons, including student privacy, intellectual property, data security rights. And then we're also doing a new evaluation that Casey and I are leading on a new Gen AI, specifically not Gen AI, machine learning tool called Millie, that's going to be using machine learning to look at course evaluation comments. So it goes hand in hand. My takeaway here is that we don't adopt AI technology, we have to adopt it responsibly. So it always has to be operationalized. Our principles, I'm going to flash these up here. There's 8 of them. And then I'd like to ask you just to pick one you think you'd like to really dig into. Raise your hand if you need more time. They're also up on that QR code. So maybe just a show of hands, which of these 8 were you most excited to see? And you can just put your hand, put your number up, just like, yeah. So which one were you most excited to see? I see several 6s. Relationships, awesome. All right, I see several relationships. I see some 2. Intention, that's our transparency piece. Balance, okay? We're hitting on all the themes that you all brought up, right? So we do encourage you to, we have a lot of questions that are coming up through our back channel here, so we're really excited to get your feedback. One of the things we do in the Office of Academic Technology is not just issue guidance, but to work in community to develop guidance and then release them for open comment and continue to improve upon them. So we really do encourage you to engage with us and provide open comment through that form about your feedback on the definition and the framework. And with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Casey.
Thanks so much. Well, thanks to all of you. Can I get a round of applause for everybody for sharing their great work? Really fantastic. I am taking a gander at our questions here, and there's a lot of them already, so bear with me. My first one's from Mario, and it's about the Azure platform that you mentioned and the LLMs that will be available. Can you talk a little bit about what the concept is and if you have any idea of which models will be available soon?
Yeah, all great questions. TBD. Thanks. Yeah. So
Fantastic.
we are in the process of deploying this platform. We just received access to it maybe a week ago. We understand that there will be multiple LLMs available within the platform. So when you create your own agent, if you decide to create your own agent, you can choose which LLM you want to use. There's certain LLMs available. I don't believe that Claude is available at this time. That's the biggest one that's not available. All the rest of them are. So the OpenAI models are available. Anyways, so it will be available. Again, we're understanding the platform as we speak. And the idea here is that we want to have a soft rollout sometime around the end of May. Over the summer, we want folks to pilot it. We want to gather some feedback about the platform, and then we'll do a big announcement in the fall for all campus to be aware of the platform's availability. So that's sort of our timeline for the platform, but it's definitely going to be one that we're interested in receiving feedback. We're interested in evaluating it. I love that somebody talked about evaluating the platform and iterating on the platform. We did not develop the platform. The platform was developed by a vendor, but we are currently building the relationship with that vendor to have input into how the platform performs. So that's sort of the TLDR version of our deployment strategy.
Thanks, Mario. This one's for Kristen. how much did you pay each faculty member of the small grants program? And I have a follow-up question to that, which is, what gave you the idea to create a grant program like this, and how will you be doing future projects like this with your faculty?
We paid people $3,000 each person, so that was easy. What gave the idea? Well, so the office already we had already piloted a different grant program, and so that the different grant program we had a lengthy initiative where we sort of funded pedagogy improvement and curriculum improvement projects in the college, and that initiative ended. And we wanted to have a mechanism of promoting creativity and change efforts that continued beyond that initiative. And so that's where the grant program that we call Pathways started. And so it seemed like a natural extension to have like a targeted Pathways grant mechanism for AI. Will we do more? I guess that depends on the money thing. Yeah, sure, I would love to.
That's how it always goes, isn't it? I have this question that I think could be answered by anyone. I'm just curious to get takes on it. It seems that some departments use or encourage usage of AI to different levels. Is it solely a department decision, or is there autonomy for individual instructors? Actually, Julie, I think you have a lot to say about this, probably.
Yeah. So if you use the definition as a guide there, it would be necessary for an individual faculty member to make the determination as to use in their class, because the individual faculty member needs to be able to determine what the learning outcome is and how the students might be able to use AI to achieve that learning outcome, or how using AI might negate or inhibit the achievement of that learning outcome. So we definitely defer to the individual faculty member. And we do see that within different departments, different faculty members have different perspectives. I think the really critical, the standard is that everyone should be doing is determining that and articulating that with transparency to their students. And I think that there's, what I would advocate for is not just saying don't use it because I don't like it, but doing the work to understand what would be inhibited or what would be fostered if you used generative AI to achieve that learning outcome. So it's definitely the university's perspective that individual faculty are the determiners of how it would be used in a particular class.
Julie, wouldn't it be the same for any instructional tool that a faculty member decides to adopt in their class, right? How does it improve the learning experience, the outcomes? Like, that would be our suggestion to any faculty member adopting a tool to use in the class.
Right, only the faculty member can determine the pedagogical efficacy of a particular tool, or the pedagogical value of a particular tool. So yeah, we lean on the faculty member to make that definition, which is actually creates a tension for students, because students actually want to have a standardized policy for all courses, because they might take Awesomeness 101 from me, from Kristen, and from Mario, and we all three have, it's the same exact class with the same exact credit, but we all three have different policies. Or they might be taking Awesomeness 101, Fantasticness from Kristen, and Amazingness from Mario, and we each have different policies, and then they're having to figure out that. And so what Student Senate, Council of Student Senates told us is that students just then decide not to use it at all because they can't figure out how to navigate the waters between those three.
So this question is addressed to Mario, but I actually think it's a good question for everybody. So are there any plans to encourage cross-unit engagement and use of AI, the community especially? But I also would extend that to Kristen and ask, what are the kinds of opportunities you're looking for to do cross-unit collaboration, cross-college collaboration for things? What particularly piques your interest?
As you probably know, I am super excited about collaborating with you all around Millie. I do feel like that using technology for to make it easier to sort of categorize and summarize text like textual data would be super helpful for being able to make decisions and take action on them. And when I say make decisions, I mean, like, my unit makes professional development to, like, support faculty and other instructors in improving their practice. And so it would be much easier for us to know what kind of professional development to make if we knew what the challenges were. And so I think we can find out some of the challenges through assessment data that we're already collecting.
Mario, community?
Yeah, community, as you guys saw in our strategy, community is one of the pillars of the UT.ai initiative. I think it's how we're going to learn from each other. I feel like we got a little bite-sized version of that with the faculty panel today, just hearing the different ways that they're incorporating AI into their curriculum. What if we did that at scale, right? We need willing partners. We need faculty to be open to listening to others and open to listening to change. Not only faculty, staff as well, right? We need to also be talking to staff about how they're incorporating AI into their day-to-day work. So this is, AI is the catalyst, right? And I think it's driving folks towards being more open to change. And that's a hope that I have. So I know, Casey, one of your questions was, what do you hope to see, right?
Yeah.
I hope to see us creating community.
I could have sworn you'd go with literacy.
Well, I was until I thought about community. I was like, whoa, that's a good one. I'm going to do community.
We have a lot of great questions here. Some of them are about research tools, and I would encourage you all to talk, especially, I'm going to point everyone towards Mario to ask any technology questions after this. But I did want to end on that, and it sounds like you've already answered my question. But so we've heard a lot of possibilities about AI in higher education today, and I'm hoping this is the first of many conversations that we have about this. But what aspect of this work would you like to continue having conversations with other people in the campus community about?
How to shape the future, how to shape a positive future by design.
On the community note, I think that a lot of reasons that I think that we could be a lot more effective or efficient. And I don't know if efficiency is always the goal, but there's a lot of people doing the same thing in little pockets, and so you don't know what's happening. Like, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, and I think that would be a amazing improvement for the future, is to have those communication networks or communities that allowed the innovations to disseminate and spread more easily.
Awesome answer. All we got to do is break down silos at UT Austin. It seems like a really easy job. Well, big round of applause for our panel, please, and sharing their work. I wanted to say, on behalf of everyone at Good Systems, the Office of Academic Technology, thank you so much for coming. Special shout out to the Center for Teaching and Learning and Enterprise Technology, our awesome colleagues, for going on this journey with us. Shout out to Stacy and Loida for all the fantastic planning, to Ken, to Sherry, to Julie for helping with programming. We really appreciate that all of you have come today, and thank you so much for being here and sharing your thoughts. Have a good day.